Hollywood has always been a world full of bright lights, red carpets, and glamorous photos, but behind all that glitter are secrets that sometimes stay hidden for years. Some celebrities are experts at keeping their personal lives completely private, even when they're involved in deep, emotional relationships that no one knows about until much later. It's not about hiding shame, it's about holding on to something real in a place where almost everything feels like a show. Over the years, several A-list stars have revealed shocking truths about relationships the public never knew existed, stories that prove even in Hollywood, love can be quiet, complicated, and sometimes heartbreaking. Nicole Kidman and Lenny Kravitz's secret relationship is one of the most surprising stories to ever come out of the entertainment world. Back in 2002, Nicole was staying at Lenny's $8 million Manhattan apartment while her own home was being renovated. On the surface, it looked like nothing more than a simple housing arrangement between friends. But behind closed doors, something more personal was happening. The two quietly fell in love. They were extremely cautious about being seen together. Whenever they attended the same events, they would arrive separately and leave separately, acting like acquaintances. By 2003, people began to notice that Nicole was wearing a stunning engagement ring, but she insisted it didn't mean anything romantic. However, there was more to the story. The truth was that they were actually engaged, and no one outside their small circle knew. The situation became even more surprising because Lenny's daughter, Zoe Kravitz, was living in the same apartment at the time. Zoe was only 13, and Nicole became a warm, motherly presence in her life. Years later, Zoe would describe Nicole as kind and caring, taking her to movies and spending time with her like a stepmom. It's almost unbelievable to think that years later, Zoe and Nicole would work together as co-stars in Big Little Lies, knowing that Nicole had once been her almost stepmother. When US Weekly broke the news of the engagement back in 2003, both denied it, and the rumor faded. But the truth didn't stay buried forever. In 2017, Nicole casually mentioned during an interview that she had once been engaged to Zoe's father, shocking everyone, including Zoe herself. She later laughed, saying that Nicole probably forgot no one else knew. It took over a decade for the truth to come out, but when it did, it changed how fans saw both of them, proof that love stories in Hollywood can be more tangled and human than anyone imagines. Then there's the whirlwind romance between Cara Delevingne and Michelle Rodriguez, which burned bright and fast in 2014. Their relationship began publicly at a basketball game, where the pair couldn't seem to keep their hands off each other. Sitting courtside, they were laughing, smoking e-cigarettes, and even showing off silly high kicks. The cameras couldn't look away. But behind the laughter, the night became uncomfortable for many watching because Michelle was clearly drunk, so much so that people described the scene as embarrassing. Cara, who was only 21, tried to keep things under control, even taking Michelle's drink away at one point. The age gap between them, 14 years, didn't seem to bother either woman. A few weeks later, Michelle confirmed they were dating, calling Cara cool and tough, even joking that she wouldn't want to fight her. For a few months, they were inseparable, traveling together and getting photographed constantly. But just as quickly as it began, the relationship fell apart. By the middle of 2014, Michelle had grown tired of Cara being constantly surrounded by other famous women like Amber Heard, Kristen Stewart, and Rihanna. It wasn't about jealousy, it was about exhaustion. Michelle was older, ready for peace, while Cara was still living a fast-paced life. The breaking point came when Cara's sister Poppy got married. Michelle was invited but refused to attend. That decision ended everything. By 2015, Michelle admitted she had never stayed in a relationship longer than 6 months. Her relationship with Cara had been passionate and wild, but it burned out as quickly as it started, like a spark that turned to smoke before anyone could catch it. Then came Britney Spears and Colin Farrell, a story that captured everything chaotic and emotional about Hollywood love. After her painful breakup with Justin Timberlake, Britney was left heartbroken. She later revealed that Justin had ended their relationship through a text message, leaving her shattered as he quickly moved on to date several other women. In early 2003, still raw from that heartbreak, Britney met Irish actor Colin Farrell through a mutual friend. Colin was charming and unpredictable, exactly what she thought she needed to feel alive again. Britney later said their time together wasn't romantic, it was chaos. They were constantly touching, holding, and kissing in ways that looked more like a fight than affection. It was wild, full of emotion, and short-lived. Their relationship came crashing down in public at the premiere of Colin's movie The Recruit. Britney thought they were together, standing proudly by his side for photographers. But when reporters asked Colin about her, he laughed it off, saying, "We're not dating, she's just a sweet girl." The humiliation was instant. Britney left immediately after the cameras stopped flashing. Later, Colin sent her a t-shirt that read, "I slept with Colin Farrell and all I got was this lousy t-shirt." It was cruel, especially for someone still healing from heartbreak. Britney later admitted that she had kissed Colin and found him attractive, but she knew deep down it wasn't love. It was a 2-week fling that left her feeling even lonelier than before. Ryan Gosling and Eva Mendes' love story is the exact opposite, quiet, hidden, and lasting. Most people believe they met while filming The Place Beyond the Pines in 2011, but Eva revealed in 2024 that they had actually met years earlier on an airplane. That meeting left a spark that would later turn into something much deeper. When they eventually started dating, they avoided all publicity. The biggest surprise came when Eva casually called Ryan her husband during an interview in 2022, confirming what fans had suspected for years: they were secretly married. She even had a tattoo that read De Gosling, meaning of Gosling, a subtle nod to their private union. Their relationship remains one of the most private in Hollywood. Eva walked away from acting completely after working with Ryan, saying that she wanted to leave her career on a high note. She called it her Seinfeld moment, a perfect time to step away. For over a decade, she has focused on being a mother, staying out of the spotlight completely. Together, they're raising their daughters Esmeralda and Omoda in a world far removed from the glitz of Los Angeles. Their girls are homeschooled and have no internet access or social media. Eva once said letting kids online was like sending them out alone in the middle of the night. They even moved away from Hollywood to give their children a normal, grounded life. For a couple that could easily dominate headlines, their decision to live quietly and privately has made them one of Hollywood's most respected pairs. Margot Robbie and Tom Ackley's love story also began quietly, but not without chaos. In 2013, Margot met Tom, a third assistant director, on the set of a film. At the time, Margot's fame was rising fast after The Wolf of Wall Street, while Tom was still working behind the scenes. The two fell in love quietly, but things became complicated when they decided to move into a shared house in London with 5 of their closest friends. No one in that house knew they were secretly dating. When the truth came out, the group was furious. Margot later said it was like a scene from the Jerry Springer Show, with people yelling and feeling betrayed. Their friends thought the relationship would ruin their bond, but somehow, Margot and Tom managed to survive the drama. In 2016, they surprised everyone again by getting married in Byron Bay, Australia. There were no paparazzi, no red carpets, just 50 guests, pizza, barbecue, and chocolate cereal instead of a wedding cake. Margot wore a simple dress, and afterward, they skipped the honeymoon to work together on I, Tonya. That film became a turning point in her career. They didn't walk a red carpet together for nearly a year after their wedding, proving that they valued privacy over publicity. What started as a secret in a crowded house turned into one of Hollywood's most genuine modern marriages. Kerry Washington's secret marriage to NFL star Nnamdi Asomugha is another example of just how far stars will go to protect their private lives. On June 24, 2013, the pair got their marriage license and held the ceremony on the very same day in a quiet town in Idaho. Not even Kerry's scandal co-stars knew about it. It wasn't just private, it was military-level secret. Later, Kerry admitted she had been hiding her engagement ring by pinning it to her undergarments every day for 3 years. She wore it at night while sleeping and hid it again every morning before filming. Both she and Nnamdi were at the peak of their careers. He was a top athlete, and she was one of TV's biggest stars, but they kept their love entirely out of public view. Their wedding was intimate, with only family and closest friends, and their honeymoon took place on a quiet island off the coast of Tanzania, far from cameras and fans. Kerry still keeps the seashells she collected during that trip as reminders of one of the happiest times of her life. Then there's the short, intense marriage between Ryan Reynolds and Scarlett Johansson, which showed that even two beautiful, talented people can struggle when love moves too fast. They married in 2008, only a year after meeting, and everything about it was secret. They held their wedding in the middle of a forest on Vancouver Island, surrounded by nature instead of Hollywood luxury. Scarlett later joked that planning it felt like a drug deal without the fun. The only strange part came from a wedding gift. Samuel L. Jackson brought them 10 pounds of live bees. The buzzing made them laugh at first, but it was a sign of how strange Hollywood relationships could be. Unfortunately, their marriage quickly began to crumble. Scarlett was only 23, still learning who she was, while Ryan, 8 years older, had just come out of a long relationship. They rarely spent time together, both too busy with work. Scarlett once said they would come home, sit in silence, and stare at the wall before going to bed. Friends said there was little warmth between them, and Scarlett admitted there was a sense of rivalry, two ambitious people who didn't know how to grow together. By 2010, they quietly separated. There was no public fight or scandal, just the quiet end of a rushed love story. These hidden Hollywood relationships prove something rare, that behind all the fame and cameras, stars want what everyone else wants: real connection, peace, and love that feels private and safe. Some manage to find it and protect it for decades, while others lose it just as quickly as it begins. Whether it's Nicole Kidman's forgotten engagement to Lenny Kravitz, Kerry Washington's secret marriage, or Eva Mendes giving up fame to protect her family, these stories remind us that even in a world obsessed with exposure, some of the most beautiful parts of life happen far away from the spotlight. Leighton Meester and Adam Brody's story began like something straight out of a romantic movie. They met by complete chance at Cantor's Deli in Los Angeles. Adam was leaving just as Leighton walked in with her Gossip Girl co-stars. That moment, brief and simple, became the spark for a love story that would stay hidden from the world for nearly a year. Their connection actually had roots behind the scenes, through Josh Schwartz, the man who created both The OC and Gossip Girl. It felt as if their lives were written to meet, two actors from different shows born out of the same creative world. In early 2013, after working together on the film The Oranges, they began dating in secret. They wanted to keep things real and private, away from Hollywood gossip and cameras. At one point, they even took a secret trip to Bangkok, far from paparazzi and rumors. Nobody had any clue until February 6, 2013, when Us Weekly broke the news that they were officially a couple. By then, they were already deeply in love and thinking about their future together. Later that same year, in November 2013, they got engaged quietly. Then, on February 15, 2014, just 3 months later, they married in one of the most private celebrity weddings ever held. It happened by the ocean in Northern California, no big venue, no media, no press, and not even a single photograph. Us Weekly only discovered the news 3 days later through anonymous sources. When paparazzi later caught Adam on the street and asked if he was married, he simply said, "Yeah," and kept walking. That one-word answer was his only confirmation. Leighton later said she didn't even want a traditional wedding. She was tired of wearing fancy clothes and pretending for cameras. She wanted something real, something that belonged only to her. Even today, they've remained one of Hollywood's most private couples. Their son was born in 2020, and 5 years later, no one even knows his name. That's how much they value their privacy. In an industry built on attention and exposure, they've managed to master the art of staying hidden in plain sight. Jesse Plemons and Kirsten Dunst had a love story that grew quietly but deeply. They first met in 2015 while filming the second season of Fargo. At first, it was just work, two professional actors playing their parts, but something special happened. Within 2 weeks, Kirsten said she knew in her heart that she and Jesse were somehow meant to be connected for life. A few months later, after ending her 4-year relationship with Garrett Hedlund, she quietly began dating Jesse in March 2016. They didn't make a public announcement or walk any red carpets together. They just started spending time together and growing close without any big show. By January 2017, less than 10 months after their first kiss, they were already engaged. But unlike many celebrity couples who rush into grand weddings, Jesse and Kirsten took their time. They waited more than 5 years before finally getting married in July 2022. And even that wedding wasn't held in Hollywood or some fancy Beverly Hills estate, it was in Jamaica, a peaceful tropical getaway far from the spotlight. During those years of waiting, they built a family together. Their first son, Ennis Howard Plemons, was born on May 3, 2018, in Santa Monica. Then, in 2021, their second son, James Robert, was born. Despite meeting through acting, they have a strict rule about keeping work and home life separate. Kirsten once said that when they work together, they don't talk to each other on set. No whispers, no flirting, nothing. She gives him his space, and he gives her hers. They even kept that rule while filming The Power of the Dog when Kirsten was pregnant. That boundary somehow made their connection stronger. Behind all their mystery, there's also humor. Kirsten once joked that she worried their son might get teased because Ennis could turn into something funny if someone just added a P in front of it. She admitted to spending hours scrolling through baby name websites trying to get it right. It's those small, honest details that make their story so relatable. 4 years, hardly anyone knew they were even together, and when their engagement finally went public, it shocked everyone. Even today, they live quietly without big press events or couple branding. They've built something real, stable, and hidden in plain sight, just the way they like it. Scarlett Johansson and Colin Jost's wedding story was one that no one saw coming. In the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, while most weddings were being cancelled, they decided to go ahead and get married on October 19, 2020. The ceremony took place in Scarlett's $2.8 million home in Palisades, New York. The way they shared the news made people love them even more. Instead of announcing it with photos or interviews, they let Meals on Wheels America post it on Instagram with a simple picture of the Staten Island ferry that said "Just Married." Their message wasn't "Look at us," it was "Donate to help seniors" instead of sending gifts. It was heartfelt and selfless, and people admired that. Scarlett later shared how every guest had to take multiple COVID tests before attending. She even had custom face masks made with Jost 2020 written on them as party favors. Later, she laughed about how weird and funny it was to have wedding masks, saying it was the kind of favor only that moment in history could have created. Colin's relatives, including some in their 90s, attended. Scarlett even joked that they must be immortal because they were so unbothered by the risk. It was her third marriage. She had been married to Ryan Reynolds from 2008 to 2010, and to Roman Doriak from 2014 to 2017. For Colin, though, it was his first. He proposed in May 2019 with an 11-carat pear-shaped diamond ring. What makes their love story even more touching is that they met long before they became a couple, way back in 2006 when Scarlett hosted Saturday Night Live. They were friends for 11 years before dating, which gave them a real foundation of trust. Their relationship wasn't rushed or staged. When they finally got together, it was about timing and authenticity. Their wedding reflected that perfectly. It wasn't just about love, it was about humor, timing, and staying true to who they are. Jordan Peele and Chelsea Peretti's story started quietly and unexpectedly in 2013. It didn't happen at an award show or an afterparty, it began with a private message on Twitter. Jordan had seen Chelsea's comedy work online and decided to reach out. Some friends say Andy Samberg even helped play matchmaker by telling Chelsea that Jordan was a good guy and worth giving a chance. She listened, and soon after, they started dating. 2 years later, in November 2015, Jordan proposed, not in a big, dramatic way, but during a family talent show. Chelsea later laughed about it on Twitter, saying he popped the question mid-show while everyone was having fun. She even added a few lols, as if she couldn't quite believe it herself. In April 2016, they got married in Big Sur, California. It was just the two of them, their dog, and an officiant named Soaring. Yes, that was really his name. There were no guests, no fancy decorations, just nature and simplicity. Chelsea later told the funny story of their wedding on Conan, where she said even the host couldn't believe how low-key it was. Their dog wore a Hawaiian shirt and sat next to her flowers during the ceremony, which made it all the more memorable. A year later, on July 1, 2017, their son, Beaumont Gino Peele, was born. What made their story so special was how real it felt. Chelsea once said she never imagined herself getting married or having kids, but something changed when she met Jordan. He made her want things she hadn't planned for. Jordan has called marriage the best decision of his life. Despite his fame as a filmmaker and her career as a comedian, they both chose to live quietly. No big social media posts, no constant publicity, just peace and normalcy. Then there's Daniel Craig and Rachel Weisz, a couple whose love story feels timeless and deeply private. They first met way back in 1994 while performing together in a London play called Les Grandes Horizontales. Back then, neither of them was famous. They were just young actors performing scenes that included intimacy and vulnerability. After that, they went their separate ways. Daniel married actress Fiona Loudon, while Rachel started a long relationship with director Darren Aronofsky, with whom she had a son named Henry. Years later, in 2010, fate brought them back together. They were cast as husband and wife in the thriller Dream House, and something between them finally clicked for real. Within 6 months, they got married. Their wedding took place in June 2011 in New York, with only 4 people present: Daniel's daughter Ella, Rachel's son Henry, and 2 close friends. It was private, heartfelt, and simple, exactly how they wanted it. Daniel later said with a smile, "We got away with it. We did it privately." Then, in 2018, they welcomed a baby girl named Grace. Rachel was 48, and Daniel was 50. Both already had children from their previous relationships, yet they were overjoyed to start a new chapter together. Rachel once said their daughter had the same striking blue eyes as her father. In 2024, Daniel revealed that he began turning down more acting roles because he didn't want to be away from his family anymore. For them, love wasn't about showing off, it was about protecting their bond. Rachel once said that talking too much about their marriage would feel like a betrayal. Daniel was one of the most famous actors in the world, but she believed that the best way to protect what they had was to keep it private. They rarely appear together on red carpets, and they didn't even reveal their daughter's name until years later. During Daniel's James Bond years, rumors often circulated about their relationship. Some said the long filming schedules and pressure strained them, but through it all, they remained strong and committed. Each of these love stories, Leighton and Adam, Jesse and Kirsten, Scarlett and Colin, Jordan and Chelsea, Daniel and Rachel, proves that real love doesn't need constant attention or validation. In a world obsessed with fame and exposure, they chose quietness, loyalty, and genuine connection. Their romances remind everyone that privacy is powerful, that love grows best when it's protected, and that sometimes the most beautiful moments happen when no one is watching.